You know, we've all been there, right? You see someone and boom, you make a snap judgment. But what if that first impression was just completely off? Today, we're going to dive into a short but really powerful story that shows just how much we might be missing when we only look at the surface. So, let me just ask you this straight up. What do we really miss at first glance? It sounds like a simple question, but the answer, well, it can be huge. Let's see how this all plays out in a setting that couldn't be more ordinary.
All right, so our story kicks off on a train, a pretty normal, everyday kind of place. But trust me, what's about to happen on this trip is, well, it's anything but ordinary.
Okay, so get this picture in your head. You've got 4 people on a train. There's a 24-year-old guy, his dad, and then a young couple sitting not too far away. Seems totally normal, right? Just another day on the train.
And then, all of a sudden, the young man's voice just cuts right through the quiet hum of the train. He shouts this with this pure, unfiltered excitement, like a little kid seeing something amazing for the very first time. And right away, you see 2 totally different reactions. The dad, he just smiles, totally sharing in his son's joy. But the couple nearby? Oh, they're looking over with pity. They just see a grown man acting like a child. And you can just feel it. The judgment is already setting in. And it doesn't stop there. A moment later, his excitement erupts again, this time about the clouds. And you can imagine, for the couple watching, this whole scene is just getting weirder and weirder. So for this couple, what they're seeing is quickly turning into an assumption. And, once you've made an assumption, it's a very short step to feeling like you have to do something about it. Yep, they just can't help themselves. They're so sure they know exactly what's going on here that they decide it's time to step in and offer some, helpful advice. And so all that judgment, all that pity, it all comes out in one single question. A question that is just loaded with assumptions, all based on maybe a few minutes of watching someone they don't even know. But here's the thing. The couple's whole take on this, and maybe ours too, it's about to get flipped completely on its head. The truth here is absolutely not what it looks like. And what's interesting is the father. He doesn't get offended. He's not defensive at all. He just smiles, and he gets ready to say the one thing that's going to change everything. He calmly says, "I did. We're actually just coming from the hospital. My son was blind from birth. He just got his eyes today." Wow, just let that sink in. With that one sentence, the whole picture just shatters. What looked childish was actually the pure joy of a man seeing the world for the very first time in his life. I mean, this moment is the perfect example of that huge gap between what we think we see and what's really going on. On one side, you have the couple's snap judgment, and on the other, this incredibly deep, unseen truth. It's such a powerful reminder, isn't it? What we see on the surface is almost never the whole story. So, what's the big takeaway from this little story on a train? What's the real lesson here for all of us? Okay, so what that couple did, it has a name. It's a snap judgment. And let's be honest, we all do it. Our brains are kind of hardwired to make these quick assessments, to make sense of the world. But this story, man, it really shows you the danger of trusting that first impression without knowing the full context. And that really brings us to the fundamental lesson here. Every single person on this planet has a story. The young man had his, the couple had theirs. And it's in that hidden story, the one we can't see, that you find the context our snap judgments almost always miss. So, if there's one thing to walk away with, it's this. We have to remember that what we see is never the full movie. It's just one frame. Everybody is carrying around a history that's completely invisible to us. And a lot of the time, the truth is pretty surprising. The real goal is to shift our default setting. Switch it from assume to try to understand. So I'm going to leave you with a question to think about. As you go about your day, at work, at home, wherever you are, just look around and ask yourself, whose story have I not learned yet? Because you never know. The truth might just surprise you.